Dr. Mara Stanton's first clear thought was of cold. Ice seemed to fill every corner of her body, and her breath came in shallow wisps that felt like tiny clouds against her own cheeks. She tried to move, but her limbs felt heavy and unresponsive, as if she were wrapped in thick blankets of fog. Blinking twice, she forced her eyelids open and found herself staring into a soft, greenish glow. The light seemed to pulse gently, as though it lived and breathed with her own heart. She heard a soft hum like distant wind chimes rising and falling around her, and she realized she lay in a smooth, curved chamber that smelled faintly of wet stone and warm metal. As her vision cleared, Mara became aware of a presence at her side. A tall figure stood just beyond the edge of her view, its broad shoulders and slender frame bathed in that same gentle light. She tried to turn her head, but the chamber's walls cradled her too snugly. Then a slender hand reached out and brushed against her own. Its skin was cool and slightly translucent, emerald veins tracing patterns beneath its surface. Panic fluttered in her chest, but the touch was neither harsh nor urgent. It was calm, patient, filled with quiet kindness. The alien's fingers wrapped lightly around her own, guiding her wrists so that she could pull herself into a sitting position. With that small act, Mara felt a spark of warmth chase away some of her fear. The starship's medical bay revealed itself in broad strokes as she rose. Smooth panels arced overhead and softly glowing lines traced paths along the walls, marking pathways and compartments. A gentle, mechanical voice spoke in a language Mara did not understand, each syllable rising and falling like music. Yet through the melody of sounds, she caught a single phrase in accented English. Awake. Her heart pounded at the certainty. In that short word, awake, she was alive, and something had woken her. She swallowed her dry throat protesting and managed a whisper. Where am I? The alien beside her inclined its head. Its large eyes, almond-shaped and softly luminous, regarded her with what Mara could only describe as compassion. Small ridges ran along its forehead, and its mouth curled into a gentle, welcoming smile. Though its features were alien, the expression felt intimately familiar, like the look a friend might give when they have waited to see you open your eyes after a long sleep. Mara's fear loosened slightly, replaced by pure, unbridled curiosity. She let her gaze travel over the chamber. A small console displayed schematics of star maps. Another panel showed her own vital signs: heart rate steady, body temperature slightly below normal, brain activity slowly waking. She remembered the last thing she had seen on Earth: the bright lights of the launch bay, her team's hopeful faces, then only darkness. She had volunteered for deep space research, a one-way journey to study a newly discovered exoplanet. And then there had been an accident. Her last memory was of alarms and a blinding flash. It was supposed to be a routine mission. Instead, time had slipped through her fingers like water, and she had awakened far from home. She let out a soft sigh, feeling the weight of lost years press on her chest. Yet the gentle squeeze of the alien's hand reminded her that she was not alone. Mara Stanton, she managed, her voice steadier now. Is that you? Her tone was part question, part plea. The alien's smile deepened, and it spoke again, in the odd musical cadence of its native tongue. Then it reached to a console and tapped a sequence of symbols. A holographic window flickered into life, projecting a single human word: welcome. The alien pointed at her name displayed beneath that greeting, then at her, and then raised one long finger to its chest, where a badge shimmered faintly with the letters S-E-L-U. Sell you, the alien said finally, in slower, careful English. That carried a soft accent, sell you. The gentle repetition made her believe it wanted her to know its name, as she would know theirs. She nodded, awe and gratitude swirling in her chest. Thank you, she whispered, though she did not know exactly why. The warmth that had chased away her panic now bloomed into hope. Someone had saved her. Someone had kept her alive for all these years. Behind her, chamber's walls slid open with a quiet hiss, revealing a narrow corridor bathed in the same soft green light. Selyu stood, still holding her hand as if linking two islands across the vast sea of space. Mara took a breath, the first full breath in what felt like an eternity, and allowed herself to stand fully upright. Her legs trembled, but with Celyu's steadying presence at her side, she felt ready to step forward into whatever journey lay ahead. In that moment, human and alien moved together, bound by simple trust and the promise of new beginnings. Celyu led Mara down the smooth corridor to a quiet observation deck. The walls here were made entirely of transparent crystal-like panels that looked out onto the endless darkness of space. Studded with stars and colored clouds of distant nebulae, Mara's breath caught in her throat at the beauty of it. Swirls of violet and gold drifted across the void and slim. Pale streaks of asteroid belts glowed like silver threads in the starry tapestry. She pressed her hand to the cool surface of the viewport, feeling a sudden, heady mixture of awe and relief. After so many years of unconscious drift, she was truly awakened. She was alive. Celyu stood beside her, arms folded gently, watching Mara's wide-eyed wonder. Then it spoke, its voice soft and musical. But stronger than before, Mara Stanton volunteered for the exploration mission to Phaeton 9, 20 years ago. Your ship experienced critical system failure and was declared lost. We found you in suspended animation and brought you here. As it spoke, Celyu's hands moved in graceful signs, and a holographic display unfolded in midair. A translucent star chart appeared, highlighting the route Mara's original shuttle had followed, and then veered off course when engines failed. Small icons tracked her rescue ship's path, showing where Celyu's people had discovered her fate among drifting wreckage. Mara listened, her heart thumping. Every word felt like a lifeline thrown across a memoryless sea. Remembered the launch tower, the rush of adrenaline as the rockets ignited, her team's farewell waves. Then blackness. She had assumed she died. To learn she lived this truth felt too large to hold in her chest all at once. Tears pricked her eyes, and she blinked fiercely to keep them back. But relief was stronger than pride. She breathed out a shaky laugh before her throat closed again. 20 years, I thought. Her voice cracked, and she closed her eyes. When she opened them again, Celyu was showing her another projection. Images of Earth, as it looked now. A shimmering blue marble, ringed with faint clouds, orbited a bright star and spun slowly. Little dots of light blinked on its surface, representing cities. Celyu tapped one, and the globe zoomed in to a sprawling metropolis skyscrapers taller than any Mara had ever seen. Sky bridges arching between them, and glinting vehicles moving like swarms of fireflies. Your home has grown, Celyu said. In careful English, people changed. We cannot return you yet. You need time to heal. The alien's eyes glowed with gentle sympathy. Mara studied the globe, her mind racing. Her daughter would be grown, her colleagues, now elders perhaps. The world she knew had moved on without her. A flush of sorrow warmed her cheeks, but beneath it, something else stirred. Determination. She squared her shoulders and faced Celyu. Thank you, she said. Simple words, but heavy with meaning. Thank you for saving me. I don't know how to repay you. Her voice was soft but strong. Celyu lowered its head respectfully. Then it placed a long finger over Mara's heart, a sign Mara now understood as respect in Celyu's culture. Your survival honors both our peoples, it replied. You carry knowledge, hope, and spirit. That is reward enough, Mara felt. A glow of pride. Even after 20 years, she was still a humanist species, defined by resilience, curiosity, and compassion. She realized that her journey was not just about returning home, but about forging a bridge between humans and this gentle alien race. A gentle alarm chimed, and Celyu motioned toward a side console. We have prepared quarters for you, it informed her. Rest and learn, then we will travel together. Mara nodded. She felt a profound gratitude and unexpected excitement. She had been lost to time, but now she had a chance to learn. New world, a new culture, and perhaps help shape the future of two species. She allowed herself a small smile, her first in what felt like decades, as they left the observation deck. Mara glanced back at the nebulae, their colors shifting like silent applause. She took Celyu's hand again, feeling its cool warmth, and squeezed gently. In that touch lay her promise to move forward, to honor the gift of her life, and to repay kindness with her own. Together, human and alien stepped into the next chapter of a journey that would span worlds and, perhaps, unite them forever. Mara stepped into the quarters Celia had prepared, a softly lit room warmed by gentle golden light. The walls curved smoothly, and bioluminescent panels glowed with a faint heartbeat rhythm, lending the space a calm, living quality. A single bed lay against one wall, draped in pale fabric that looked cool and inviting. Despite her exhaustion, Mara's mind raced with questions and wonder. She set her bag down and approached a small window overlooking the ship's inner gardens rows of alien flora with petals like liquid glass. She pressed her palm to the glass, breathing deeply as the sweet, unfamiliar scents drifted in. Celyu stood quietly in the doorway, its eyes reflecting concern and patience. "Rest if you wish," it offered. "Tomorrow begins your education." Mara turned to face it, her voice soft but determined. "I need to understand this place and myself before we move on." Celyu inclined its head, its gentle smile giving Mara courage. As the alien withdrew, Mara allowed herself a moment by the window. She closed her eyes and pictured Earth's forest, the rustle of leaves, the scent of rain, trying to ground herself in memories that now felt like dreams. That night, Mara slept deeply, her exhaustion overtaking her every thought. When she awoke, the room's lights had shifted too, a cool blue signaling morning. Celyu was already by her side, holding a small tray of simple food, smooth, round fruits that glowed faintly in pastel shades, and a clear, sweet liquid in a crystalline cup. Mara hesitated, then tasted the fruit.
Ow!
It burst on her tongue with a flavor both strange and delightful. She smiled, thankful for Celyu's thoughtful care. They ate in comfortable silence. The only sound, the gentle hum of the ship's life support systems. After breakfast, Celyu led Mara down a broad corridor to the ship's learning center. The room was circular, with consoles lining the walls, and chairs arranged around a central holographic projector, other aliens taller or shorter than Celyu. In colors from deep blue to pale amber stood near the consoles, exchanging greetings that sounded like quiet chimes. Mara felt a flutter of nerves. She was different, a lone human among an alien crew. Yet as Celyu introduced her, no eyes turned cold or indifferent. Instead, faces brightened in welcoming smiles. "Here, you will learn our language fully," Celyu explained, guiding Mara to a console. "Then you will study our history and technology. In time, you will teach us about Earth." Mara's heart lifted. To study and to teach felt like reclaiming her purpose. She placed her hands on the console, and images bloomed around her. Floating symbols, diagrams of star maps, and recordings of alien traditions. With Celyu's patient guidance, she began her first lesson, the alien alphabet. Each symbol danced in the air, and Mara traced them with her finger, marveling at their fluid shapes. Hours passed in a blur of fascination. Mara absorbed new words, practiced phrases, and learned how to form thoughts in Celyu's tongue. At first, her speech was halting. She stumbled over unfamiliar sounds. But with every correction, always gentle, never mocking her confidence, grew. She realized that learning was not a burden but a bridge connecting to worlds. When she mastered a particularly tricky phrase, Salut's eyes glowed with pride, and a ripple of approval flowed through the other aliens. Mara felt a surge of joy. Later, during a break, Celyu guided Mara to the ship's greenhouse. Here, sunlight filtered through layers of crystal-bathed, towering alien trees and fields of luminous flowers. Butterflies with wings like stained glass flitted around. Mara knelt by a small pool where jelly-like creatures drifted lazily. She reached out and one brushed against her finger, tickling her skin. She laughed, pure and bright, drawing curious glances from Celyu. "On Earth," she said in English, "we have butterflies too." Celyu nodded, and soon a translator console displayed her words in its language. In return, the console showed the alien word for butterfly, a long, melodic series of symbols that Mara repeated until she felt it resonate in her mouth, as the day drew to a close. Spun in silent colors beyond the glass, and the distant hum of stars felt like a lullaby. Mara turned to Selyu, her voice warm. "Thank you for today. I've learned so much. I feel hopeful." Selyu reached for her hand, squeezing it lightly. "Hope guides us," it said simply. Mara leaned her head on Selyu's shoulder, looking out at the vast universe that now felt a little less unknown. In that shared silence, human and alien found a common thread: the wonder of discovery and the promise of friendship that could span 20 light years and beyond. Mara stepped onto the navigation bridge, a wide room lit by swirling star charts projected across a domed ceiling. Panels of light glowed under her fingers, and Selyu guided her to the central console. Her heart raced with excitement. Today, they would chart the course back toward Earth's sector. She inhaled sharply, feeling both the weight of responsibility and the thrill of discovery. Selyu tapped a sequence of symbols, and a three-dimensional star map unfolded between them. Trails of light showed countless routes weaving through nebulae, asteroid fields, and warp lanes. Mara traced her fingertip along one path that arced close to a radiant quasar, then branched toward safer, uncharted space. "This way," she murmured, pointing. The quasar's power could boost their jump drive if carefully tuned, speeding their journey home. Selyu's eyes brightened at her suggestion, human ingenuity at work, as they refined the route. Mara's pulse quickened. Dark clouds on the map marked a dangerous bend in space-time. She leaned forward, recalling her days on Earth, manipulating gravitational fields in the lab. "We can use our shield alignment to stabilize the drive during the quasar boost," she said, voice calm despite her racing thoughts. Selyu's slender hands danced over the console, accepting her parameters. Together, they wove human creativity and alien technology into a single, daring plan. Mara felt a surge of pride at how smoothly Selyu adapted her idea. She realized that despite 2 decades lost to time, her skills remained sharp. The bridge's soft hum underfoot felt like applause. When Selyu announced the route was locked in, Mara allowed herself a triumphant smile. Selyu returned the smile in its own alien way, a gentle tilt of the head, and a soft glow in its eyes that said, "Well done." Later, in a quiet moment, Selyu led Mara to a small alcove overlooking the bridge. From here, she could see the console lights change as the ship rerouted power. She placed her hand on Selyu's arm, feeling the cool texture of its skin. "Thank you for trusting me," she whispered. Selyu's voice was a low hum as it replied, "Your mind brings hope and strength. We value both." Mara's chest warmed at those words. In that exchange, she felt the true bond forming, an unspoken promise of partnership between their peoples, as the ship's engines engaged and stars stretched into lines of light. Mara closed her eyes, letting the rush of acceleration wash over. Her 2 hearts, human and alien, beat together in that cabin. Bound by trust, respect, and a shared dream, the journey home and the new world they would build when they arrived. Mara stood on the bridge as the ship slipped into the region marked by swirling asteroid fields. Outside the viewport, space looked like a storm frozen in time, chunks of rock drifting in broken orbits, glinting in distant starlight. Her heart thudded in her chest, equal parts excitement and dread. Selyu hovered beside her, its eyes calm but alert. "This area tests all travelers," it said softly. Mara nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility press on her. She took a steadying breath, remembering her promise to brave the unknown and keep both their lives safe. The first rock struck without warning. A dull tremor shook the bridge, and alarms chimed urgently. Mara's stomach lurched as lights flickered overhead. She saw the navigation console flash red warnings, debris incoming on intersecting paths. Instinct took over. She leaned forward and placed her palms on the panel. "Divert power to shields," she ordered, voice clear. Selyu's slender fingers danced over its controls, redirecting energy. The shields hummed to life, a pale blue dome forming around the ship's hull. "Good," Mara whispered. The feedback against her hands felt alive, as though the ship itself waited for her command. Moments later, a larger asteroid loomed ahead, its surface cracked and pitted. The ship's autopilot plotted a detour, but the route skirted too close. To a gravity well, Mara held up her hand. "Cancel that detour," she said firmly. "We must run the engines at lower thrust and skirt the edge of the field." Autopilot cannot judge human danger instinctively. Selyu hesitated, then nodded and slid the controls into manual mode. Light spilled onto Mara's face as the console shifted to her inputs. She adjusted the thrusters with careful taps, feeling each pulse of power. Her breath came in steady rhythms, matching the engine's heartbeat. Outside, rocks tumbled past at impossible speeds. The ship shuddered as it weaved through narrow gaps. Mara's knuckles turned white on the console as she guided them between two massive boulders. In one instant, a meteor flipped and crashed against the shields, sending sparks dancing across the viewport. Mara's breath caught in her throat, but she held her ground and adjusted the shield's angle, letting the energy disperse along the hull's curve. The hum in her veins matched the hum of the engines. In that moment, she felt every lesson. From her past, the physics experiments, the late-night calculations, the trust in her own hands come alive. When the last asteroid fell away behind them, the bridge fell silent except for the gentle whir of systems returning to normal. Mara leaned back, shoulders trembling with relief. Selyu placed a cool hand on her arm, and Mara met its glowing eyes. "You have great skill," Selyu said, voice soft. "You trusted your instincts and mine. Together, we are strong." Warm glow bloomed in Mara's chest. She realized that her fear had been real, but her courage had been stronger. She smiled, genuine and bright. "Thank you for trusting me," she replied. "And thank you for standing by my side." Later in the quiet aftermath, Selyu led Mara to the observation deck. Stars glimmered, undisturbed by the chaos they had just passed. Mara pressed her hand against the glass, still feeling the tremor of adrenaline. She turned to Selyu, voice low and full of wonder. "I was afraid I would fail," she admitted. Selyu's smile was gentle. "Fear is human," it said. "But hope and bravery guide us forward. You honored both today." Mara let the words settle, feeling pride and humility entwine, as she knew the journey still lay ahead, with tests and wonders yet unseen. But as she stood beside her alien friend, she believed in her own heart and in the bond they had forged. Under the storm of asteroids, together, they would face whatever came next. Mara stood at Selyu's side as the ship slipped into a region of space marked on the star charts as the Maelstrom Corridor. The hull shuddered at the first tremor of the cosmic storm beyond the shields. Greenish plasma flared on the view screen, and faint echoes of charged particles crackled through the console beneath her fingertips. Selyu's eyes dimmed, and its broad shoulders hunched just slightly, betraying a rare moment of uncertainty. Mara felt a pang of concern. She had never seen her alien friend hesitate. "Selyu," she said softly, placing a steady hand on its arm. "What do you feel?" The alien's head tilted, and its voice emerged as a low hum. "Storm fields disrupt. Our sensors, defensive measures could harm living beings caught outside. I do not wish to cause harm." Mara nodded, understanding a compassion so deep it slowed their progress. She inhaled and looked out at the shifting lights of the plasma. Stormed the curtains of charged gas dancing like alien auroras across the darkness. "We can protect life and survive," she told Selyu, "on Earth when storms threaten. We use controlled barriers that block the worst of the energy, but still let life breathe. We can try something similar." Selyu regarded her with wide, luminous eyes, and Mara felt gratitude fill her chest. "Show me," Selyu said in careful English. Mara guided Selyu back to the central console. Together, they opened the ship's defense protocols and overlaid a new script, Mara's idea drawn from her Earth days studying weather shields for orbital stations. She adjusted parameters so the shields would modulate, strong enough to deflect. Plasma bursts, but flexible enough to allow neutral particles through. Selyu's slender fingers tapped at the keys, its concentration absolute. Every so often, it looked at Mara, as though asking for reassurance. Each time Mara smiled and nodded, When they activated the modified shields, the outward view transformed. The plasma storm's bright tendrils slowed at the barrier's edge, splintering and folding away from the hull like feathers brushing against glass. Alarms that had been shrieking fell silent. Adahar's heart pounded in relief and pride. She realized that trust was not only about accepting help, but also about believing in another's choices. She stepped closer to Selyu. "See, do we protect others and ourselves?" she said. "Your mercy is a gift, and your trust in me is a gift too." Selyu's hand brushed hers, cool and smooth, and Mara felt a ripple of warmth. But the storm was not yet fully behind them. As the ship moved forward, a sudden burst of charged energy pierced the barrier, causing a bright arc of light to dance across the bridge. Panels flickered, and the ship lurched. Mara's stomach twisted. Selyu's eyes glowed brighter, bracing for impact. Without thinking, Mara grabbed a handheld tool and dashed to the nearest console panel. She pressed her palm against the glowing circuitry and rerouted auxiliary power to reinforce a weak section of the shield. A moment later, the barrier steadied, and the ship righted itself. The glow faded, the lights steadied, and all was calm once again. Selyu hurried to Mara's side, concern etched into its features. "You risked yourself," it said, voice low. Mora's chest hurt with both relief and the weight of what she had done. "I did," she admitted, "because I trust you to do the same for me, and because protecting others, human or aliens, what matters most." She placed a hand over her heart, then one over Selyu's. "We both value life. That makes us allies." Selyu's eyes glowed softly, and it inclined its head. In that simple gesture, Mara felt the bond between them deepen beyond friendship into something like kinship. Later, it returned to the observation deck, where the storm's swirling lights faded into distant pinpricks of starshine. Mara leaned against the soft glow of the viewport, her reflection mingling with the stars. Selyu stood close, silent in shared contemplation. Mara closed her eyes and sighed. "Thank you," she said again, her voice filled with emotion, "for trusting me and for teaching me the meaning of compassion." Selyu's hand found hers, squeezing gently in the quiet that followed, to being separated by species language. And light years found unity in a simple truth, that trust and mercy, when shared, could guide them safely through any storm. Mara stood at the viewport as the ship eased out of faster-than-light travel, the familiar blue glow of Earth growing larger by the second. Below, swirls of white clouds drifted over oceans and continents, the planet's heartbeat visible through the glass. Her breath caught as she remembered the first time she saw Earth from space, how small and fragile it looked now. After 20 years, it looked like home more than ever. Selyu stepped beside her, its hand resting lightly on her shoulder. Together, they watched the sunrise crest the horizon, painting the world in gold. When the ship dropped into normal orbit, Selyu guided Mara to the communication deck. Consoles blinked with incoming messages, one from Mission Control, another from her daughter grown now, her voice strong and curious. Mara's hands trembled as she tapped the holoscreen. The message from her daughter read simply, "Mom, are you really there? We thought." Tears filled Mara's eyes. She let them fall. Selyu placed a cool, gentle hand over hers. Mara nodded and spoke into the console, her voice soft but clear. "This is Dr. Mara Stanton.
I'm here.
And I am coming home." Psst. Moments later, the ship descended through the atmosphere, the heat shield glowing red as metal met air. Mara closed her eyes, feeling the rush of wind and fire, the trembling hull, the pulse of returning home. When the ship finally touched down on the landing pad, she opened her eyes to see a crowd, gathered family, friends, scientists, and diplomats, all eyes wide with wonder. Above them, the ship's ramp lowered. Mara took Selyu's hand and stepped forward. The sun shone on her face, warm and alive. Her daughter ran to her first, arms flung wide. Mara dropped to one knee, tears streaming, and embraced her. "I'm here," she whispered, rocking her daughter gently. The crowd murmured in awe as reporters began to record the reunion. Mara stood and turned, extending her hand toward Selyu, who emerged beside her. Gasps rippled through the assembly as cameras captured the human-alien handshake. Mara looked out at the assembled faces, furious hopeful, sometimes fearful, and lifted her free hand. Today, she began, her voice strong with emotion. We stand together at the threshold of a new era. An era of understanding, friendship, and shared discovery. Diplomats and leaders listened as Mara recounted her journey. The accident, the long sleep, the kindness of an alien friend, and the lessons she learned about trust and compassion. She spoke of the storms they faced in space, both literal and figurative, and how human ingenuity and alien mercy had guided them through. She introduced Selyu to the world, explaining that, in its culture, to save a life was the highest honor. Selyu spoke next, its clear voice translated into every language. I learned from Dr. Stanton that courage and kindness cross all boundaries. We come not as conquerors, but as friends. The crowd erupted in applause. Mara inhaled deeply, tears of pride and joy mingling on her cheeks. She felt every human heartbeat in that moment, a collective pulse of hope. In the days that followed, she and Selyu toured research centers, schools, and parliaments. They demonstrated joint experiments, created language programs for exchange students, and planted the first seeds of an interspecies cultural institute. Mara's daughter showed Selyu her drawings of Earth's forests, and Selyu taught local children the alien lullabies Mara had recorded. Late one evening, Mara and Selyu walked along a quiet riverside park, the city lights reflecting on the water's surface. Fireflies blinked in the grass, and the scent of jasmine drifted on a gentle breeze. Mara paused and looked at her friend. I could not have dreamed of this when I first woke, she said softly. I could not have dreamed of you. Selyu smiled, its eyes shining like the stars they had once traversed together. And I could not have known kindness until I met you, it replied. Now we share both worlds in our hearts. Mara placed her hand over her heart, then reached out and gently touched Selyu's. May this be the first of many journeys, she said, between us, our people, and the countless wonders of the universe. Selyu nodded, and together they watched the moon rise above Earth's horizon, a silent promise that no matter how far one travels, the hand of friendship can always bring them home.